My name is Tim Niver, and this is Niver Niver Land. Mi nombre es Tim Niver. Y este es mi podcast, Niver Niver Land. And today we're going to have with us two very handsome gentlemen, Gustavo Romero, Tia from Nixta Taco, and from Guacaya Bistreaux, Pedro Wolcott. Unos amigos míos bien guapos esos señores. Y hoy en Niver Niver Land vamos a hablar de muchas cosas. De la comida, de la vida, de la música y más. Más importante, la cultura. We're going to talk about culture, music, dance, food with these guys. And it's fun. God, to be able to get it all out and see their energy and joy. Niver Niver Land. Today, Guacaya Bistreaux, Nixta Taco. And so it was just a cool coincidence that I see that you two are doing a project together, and that the season of, the holiday season is upon us. It made me think about culture and depth of culture and tradition and things that we need to fucking hang on to, not let go of. Language, dance, music, all this shit. Because right here, right now, guys, in Minneapolis, in Minnesota, we need to get some fucking joy going again.
Yes.
Yeah. One way or the other, through pain, through trauma, you can't set it aside. We need to work on that shit. That's important shit. But over here, the life. So I walk into your joint. And this is me talking around. I'm going to ask you guys shit. I will ask you questions. I walk into your joint. Who's up at the counter? Your partner?
My wife, yep.
Who's in the back cooking?
Jose, Antonia, myself.
Yep. Right? I come into your joint. What do you do? Damn, like this up here. Like I can feel it on you guys, like family, that verve, that energy. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Because you guys are very uplifting spiritually. Like for me, like I know that we don't know each other that well, but I see you. You're out there, you're doing stuff in these smiles. The people you work with here, the people that want to work with you, do these pop-ups. Good on you, man. That's exactly what you need to be doing. It's so cool.
Thank you.
And then I walk into your joint, and you feel comfortable enough to walk over to my table and sit down. You sat down, bro.
You're in my house.
I know, but that's how you take it, You guys are a little different than everybody else here in the exact right ways.
Yep.
And I miss that. I miss that way that Latin culture, that thing that fills you up. God, I'm worked up on this. Tell me, you're from Hidalgo.
Yep.
This time of year in Hidalgo, big parties, familial parties, mostly religious based.
Yes, we have the posadas. They start the 16th, and we celebrate all the way. Well, actually, we start with on the 12th, which is the Virgin of Guadalupe's birthday. So we start drinking the 12th, and we ended up on like January 6th or something.
Yeah. See, now you take some time to have this celebration.
Yes, part of her every year. We work.
Yes.
Yeah, we work all year to get to this point. Like that's literally how people live there. It's like the money comes from whatever you work. Like you always get a little extra. And as the holidays is the time that you get to see your family, is the time that you get to see your friends, the times where you get some time off. And yeah, I mean, it's like you wait a whole year to do it all again.
So how much are you able to do of that here? How much time do you have to spend on those traditions here?
I mean, it's definitely different. It has changed a lot. I try to get close to the people that I know they kind of seeking the same thing. So obviously Pedro is one of those persons, and Jose Alarcon and all the friends that I have, because we always talk about this. We always talk about the necessity of getting some of that back. when we don't have it. You know, when I first moved here, it's really difficult when you go into a place where you don't know many people, because you miss that part. You know, like the holidays come and you're like, shit, I don't have anybody to hug, you know, except for my family. And you start meeting people, and you start meeting friends, and getting to know people, and you realize that even if we're from different parts, we all have the same feel, and we all have the same necessity of friendship and family, because it's nostalgic for us.
Yeah, and you pay attention to those feelings. Family's hard, but you know, you'd be used to having family around like we all do, kind of just the way my family was built. I was very lucky to have a united family. Oh, they're still all together. And what a blessing that is. And I do find in our industry too that there are numerous folks that are separated from their own homes and whatever. And we talk about that a little bit too. You know, like anybody need to go somewhere on Christmas, you know, we're here. So, you know, you don't want anybody feeling left out, but also like to enjoy these cultures together. He says he calls you up and you're like, hey, let's go do this, right? You have family meals together?
Mostly drinks. Mostly drinks.
Family drink.
Gazpacho. Gazpacho con alcohol.
Oh, that sounds nice. Bloody Mary. That is not a Bloody Mary, but you know.
You know, I think I rely a lot on Gustavo. Like, I think when I first moved here and I wanted to open a restaurant, he's the first person I ever told him, like, hey man, I'm gonna open a restaurant. You never know what people are gonna think. And I didn't have any money to open a restaurant then. I just said it. But I think I'm a true believer. Like, you know, speak it into existence. It will happen. That's how I did it. You know, I told everybody who I met when I moved to Minneapolis, that I was going to open a restaurant. And they all looked at me crazy. Like, what the hell is this guy? Where did he come from? And it was that's how the whole restaurant started. Just me telling random people.
I'm going to do it. I have to do that too. I practice speaking things into existence. I'm a naturally born procrastinator. But if I say it, I feel guilt.
Yeah.
Another part of my Latin, I think, probably. I feel
Yeah, that's definitely Latin. That's definitely Latin, 100%.
I feel guilt, you know, so I feel guilt if I say it, it's gonna happen.
Yeah. And I guess our relationship just evolved. But like, we're always like shooting the shit and having fun, laughing. I think we never have a dull conversation. I think it's just so
yeah. I mean, they're serious, right? Because we outlive each other, and I think, and a lot of the times, we have those points where, like, obviously things get hard, and then sometimes you need a laugh and you need somebody to be like, no, just push through it. You, like, you know, we gonna get there. And I think that's what me and Pedro have. Like, you know, I know I can call him, and I know I will get a laugh out of him, you know, just because the things that he says and the way that he says things. And then, you know, you hope that you can do the same with, you know, with people.
Yeah. Like a deep friendship. Also, you know, there's some camaraderie here with the business part of this and what it does to you. Yeah. Right. Well, you know, friendship, like the challenge of this. And then, you know, I mean, I guess, if you're looking at the neighborhoods you're in, they're primarily white neighborhoods as well, right?
Yep.
And so in North Loop, dude, you know, such a great place, man.
Thank you.
Yeah. It felt so good in there. Well, I'm glad that you're friends. I'm glad that you've developed this relationship and that you have each other. Yeah. Part of what I've been saying over the last few episodes here is feeling alone while things are hard or while even things are easy. I mean, there's just no reason for it. So keeping your circle tight and have people you count on is so important. I think a lot of us, maybe in the state, maybe certain business owners, maybe whatever, don't tend to share much. They don't tend to put it out there. They just kind of do their thing. So, you know, we need to break through some of that, I think, to find this, to start embracing all of this energy like you have, you know, and spreading this friendship outwardly. You guys are cool. So, Gustavo, what is Moxoleula? Moxoleula, you know that?
No.
It is the unveiling of the disguised.
Okay.
And I was reading that this, and I could be wrong, I don't know. I was reading that this was culturally important in Hidalgo, where you get dressed up in costumes.
Okay. Yeah.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, that's familiar.
The costumes.
Yeah, I'd love to see your closet, by the way, bro.
Well, I mean, not anymore, but
I mean, maybe I'm, because my research could have led, maybe I was in Hidalgo, India.
Every state in Mexico, they all have a different outfit that they wear, like the traditional outfit. And then if you grow up in Mexico, every year they do celebrations for like Mother's Day or things like that. And then you forced to learn how to dance these things. So I learned like the traditional dances from like 6 different states. And then I had the traditional clothing for all these states. As a matter of fact, I have a picture of one holding a rooster, because in one of the states, that's when they used to do the rooster fights that they don't do anymore, legally. But it's like, yeah, like we have a lot of that stuff.
So way back,
and then we have, I mean, this is so cool because the country is so big, and then every state is completely different, and every state has their own kind of culture,
their own identity.
Their own identity. Yes.
I think most of the Latin American countries, Central America, even like Spain, like even in Panama, so like every country has a indigenous dish that represents them, or indigenous costume. Like for Panama is la pollera y el montuno. That's our national outfit. So like when you go to a wedding, you either wear a suit or the national outfit, and you're still dressed well for an event. And then when you're
the national outfit of America is North Face.
I would say it's like Carhartt.
Depends where you live. Just kidding.
We never, we didn't have what you had growing up like that, and when I lived in Spain, all of a sudden, you're leaving the bar, like you do up here, like the saying, you're leaving the bar, you're having a good time. And in Spain, people are like groups of people are like dancing down the street, singing the same song.
Yep.
Connecting. I don't know if it's like a song about the nation or whatever, a national pride, but they're together on it. And we don't see that here. You don't see groups of people walking down the street singing a song that's like...
What about the YMCA?
Yeah, that's true. Ohio.
Yes. All right, we have a couple things that are important to us. The chicken dance, though, we can let go of. You have the pollo dance on?
Yeah.
Oh, no. I didn't even ask that question. All right, so part of my research sent me to this fiesta, and maybe it's not one of yours, all right? But I thought it was really cool because you dress up in a costume, right? And you're dancing and you party in it and you like build the costume, and then when you're done, you burn it. And the burning signifies the release of all the evil. You partied it, enjoyed it, away. And I just thought that was so fucking cool. Because there's a way here where you can, literally, if you're, it's just a party, but it's a way of letting go. And it would be really nice if we could like have some outfits here and burn them. I just want everybody to kind of let go a little.
We have a tradition in Panama for New Year's Eve. So during the month of December, when you're traveling to the countryside in Panama, you'll see all this like stuffed figures. Like sometimes it's like Spider-Man, and people make these Spider-Man outfits and stuff them with like cotton and stuff to make them come alive. And then they fill them up with fireworks. And then everybody competes to have the best looking like figurine on the side of the street. Well, New Year's Eve come at 12 o'clock, they light it up and you burn all the bad stuff away from the year.
Yes.
So you just fill it up like with all these fireworks. And I used to always as a kid look forward to that because it's like a new beginning, but you see it like manifest in front of you. It's like the year's over. Let's burn all the bad stuff away and we start fresh.
I mean, it's like my mom used to sweep at midnight. she would like sweep the house and then sweep everything outside the house
At midnight.
At midnight. Like we're like ready to eat, and she will grab her broom and just like start sweeping, and it's just like you get rid of everything.
Out the fucking door.
Out.
So what the hell are we gonna burn? What are we gonna burn, dudes? The end of the year is coming up. We should.
Yeah, we should. We should. We
man.
have
Because
I think we have a lot of good
this
things.
It's symbolic, man.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't mind kind of like getting rid of some of the bullshit of this year.
Yeah.
Even symbolically, burn the shit out of something. Let's do it.
All the bad energies, put them into
I don't
it.
care if it's wood in a fireplace, but let's burn something.
Let's burn something. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's do it.
So, I know the seasons are busy, but that is an actual invite, and maybe we can burn some stuff and
Yeah.
let some of this year go.
Yes.
But the year wasn't all bad.
No.
No.
Guys, are you both in the top 50 restaurants or mentions?
Yep.
You got a whole page. Top 50?
Yeah.
Top 50?
No, man, I'm still new.
I got kicked out. One of my places got kicked out, and one of them's still in there. Great.
Thank you.
So to me, that's really important because the magazine takes time to consider, and we're considering, good and best as very different things now. But I'll tell you, when I ate your food, though it's like homey, simple food, there's things that I pick up, like a real sophistication of flavor. And, just in the way the chicken was handled, it wasn't over shredded and broken up. And, it was juicy and tender. I just, you really, for that family food, you really imparted, an important part of you, I think. And I think that's why people connect to what you're doing. And I know your dedication to the corn is, like that quality. And also it refers to your absolute identity, what comes from where you are. Would you say 40 of 60 varietals of corn from where you live?
Yeah, I mean, we have 60 in Mexico, but Central Mexico, which that's where my state is, we probably have like 30 to 40.
Yeah. So you take what you know and you put it in front of people. And from an identity standpoint, I'll just say that, my family ate that food for a couple days. Like we were just so happy to go back to the refrigerator and, and it's food that feeds the soul, man.
Yeah.
That's super fucking good.
That was the idea.
Then we got the enchiladas on top of the family meal.
Yep.
And the next night we made enchiladas, bro. With the chicken on top. I'm serious. Like you were in my house feeding me. I'm not to be like a weirdo, but I was looking to sense who you were through your food,
Yeah.
It was really cool.
Thank you.
You're not in the top 50?
No.
Oh, fuck. That was rude of me. But you've been getting a lot of press. You hustle.
Maybe next year. So.
Oh yeah, of course. I think you deserve it. I really do. And that's why I thought I didn't look at the magazine yet. Somebody told me we were in there. I do not take it for granted that we'll be in there. I wanted Mucci's in there.
Yeah.
I think people think we're red sauce, right? You know how people classify your food as a way, and maybe you don't want them to classify it as a way. Like you see these people cooking that pasta station is one of the hardest stations to cook. Italian food, bro. Ooh. You got 10 pans going with sauces reducing. You got pasta over here. You can't see it. It's in the water, bro. Is it done? I don't know. Pinch it, and you got so many things going.
My favorite station in the world. My favorite station. By far.
So I want attention for just the way that, even like the way that they have to handle the cooking. So I want that. I want that for me. Yeah. I want to be listed. Whatever. We need it, right? Like as restaurants, we need that shit.
Yeah.
That is going to help you.
Yes. I hope so.
Brother.
No, it is. It is a lot of help, and I think it's also it's a boost of energy. The
validation.
The validation. It's like you put in a lot of work, you put in a lot of hours, and then you get a little push to say like, "You're doing great. Just keep going." That's the way that I look at it.
Yeah.
I think for me, like what I'm doing is completely unique or very different to the state of Minnesota. Like we're a very unique concept, undefined yet. It's tapas, yes, but the Latin Caribbean and New Orleans, the whole thing, people tell me like this is something completely out of the ordinary.
It is. It's a
very
great mix too.
Yeah.
You know, it's not confusing fusion of sorts. You know, it's not. It feels sensible and tight,
Yeah.
right? And then your execution, like simple things. The texture of the chicken in the gumbo.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it certainly wasn't cooked in there the entire time because it would have been just falling apart and dry. You know, like like the way some people would cook. And like I felt texturally how you made that gumbo. Like it was great. So fucking good. So there's something that's, New Orleans or whatever, but we also got the whole deep fried. Was it Huachinango? Was it red snapper?
Red snapper. Yeah.
Fucking fried a whole fish for me, bro, and brought it over to the table. It was the day before my birthday, so we did go a little crazy, and it was perfect. Salty in that really crispy way, and just all the accoutrements with it. It was so sexy. I felt you there, dude. I felt you.
Yeah, like we try to do like things that are like comfortable for us. Like this is how I have it like in Panama. Even like the tray that I brought it in, the Nogue Bugle indigenous people carved those.
Oh man.
So I went to Panama, bought like 6 or 7 of them, and I said the fish is gonna go here. Why? Because this is how we have it in Panama, and this is how it's so connected to me. So it means for me like my culture, my identity. Fried fish is something that if you live in a Caribbean town or in a city, it's always part of your life. And I'm so lucky to be from Panama. We're surrounded by oceans, and seafood is abundant. So we just kind of at the restaurant kind of go with the approach that if my kids or my family don't eat it, then I don't put it in the menu. Mm-hmm. So everything that you have at the restaurant is things that I love eating. So I don't put things that I wouldn't necessarily eat at home.
But the items are recognizable too. You've done a nice job making sure in that vein that they may have a name that we wouldn't understand or whatever, but the way that the menu reads, right?
Yeah.
It's so easy to kind of digest, even before you eat, oh man, I wanted some of this. I'm like, oh, do we need a big plate or, should we just eat tapas? I love eating like that. And you present a nice vibe, color, vibrancy, it can be bright a little bit. It can be soft a little bit. You had 2 different kinds of candles on the table, one lower with light coming up and one higher with light going down. And it was just a lovely little thing that you don't like 2 lights, yes, it was just, I noticed it immediately. And for me, like there was just that romance there too.
The goal, I tell people like when you see the carpets, and we put carpets throughout the whole space. I tell people you're coming to my house and have dinner with me. Literally. Before we started the restaurant, I used to do pop-ups in my living room. I used to sell like tickets. People would come to my house and they would sit down and eat my meal. It's a restaurant in my house. So I always try to carry that on to the restaurant. So people still remember those few who are lucky enough to join me in my pop-ups.
Yeah.
Now they understand why I have carpets. It's because it's pretty much like you're having dinner at my house again. So, and also being Latin American, it's important to me that people feel that they're home, they're comfortable, a place that you can let your guard down. You had a stressful day, but when you're in my house, you're having a good time. So
you gotta let go. You gotta help them too.
Yeah.
You really have to set that mood.
Yeah.
And that is a very difficult task. Ongoing. And I remember you saying something about, the restaurant's new, right? And you're kind of like trying to figure out what it is. People who don't own a restaurant can't necessarily understand that. While conceptually I have a name on the paper,
correct,
and the first menu comes out with 15 items on it, I need to do this shit for 15 years for this to work out. So you need to have this kind of rotating part of your menu and that kind of reinvigoration of yourself to keep kind of putting so many good things out there. Never stop pushing that flavor, man. Like, I know that there's some things that Minnesotans like the same stuff over and over and over again. They don't like necessarily a lot of change, but I think with the food that you're providing, it's you do it in the right way that it's really, really easy to just kind of have fun with it. Thank you.
Yeah, it's very
So top 50,
comfortable.
dude. Like I would say you're in my top 50.
Ooh,
I am also in my top 50 with both of my places. Yeah, I'm at the very top.
Yes.
Thank you.
The very top of both of my places. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I just awarded myself that. We are top 3.
Yes,
Los
indeed.
tres guapos.
Tres
I'm
guapos.
here. 1, 2, 3. I don't know who's won yet. We're sitting right here together. There's no one. It's
We just
just
walk together. It's just fine.
3.
Doesn't matter.
It's just 3. So talking about pop-ups in this hustle, and you're finding your way in Minneapolis. Both of you kind of did the pop-up trail, right? Mm-hmm. So let's say if you had advice to others, right? Because you said you were gonna get a restaurant open, and you did, and you're here doing pop-ups, and you got your place open. It's going good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, it's great.
So this hustle came from who you are, but like doing the pop-ups and putting yourself out there. Give us maybe somebody else who's trying to do a startup now. Give us an idea of what it took for you guys to do this. And was it pop-ups that kind of gave you the avenue?
For me, I think it definitely was. The first pop-up I did in the city was with Travel when we did Qua, and I think that it was a great venue for me to show a little bit of what I wanted to do, and the most important part is that you get to collaborate with such a talented group of people, and then you get to do whatever you always imagined that you wanted to do, and it kind of opened that door for me to be like, well, it's definitely something that we can do here, and it's also a good way to see how people react to the food that you want to do. So for me personally, I think that it was a great experience. And then the other part that I really enjoy from that is the part of learning from other people, because I learn a lot. And then every time that I seek a collaboration, because a lot of times I'm the one that I'm like, let's do something and trying to like get together with people, is because I realize that you learn so much from them. And then I usually trying to surround myself with people like-minded, because it just helps you be better. Yeah. And then you realize that, I think that we all need from each other. And then people are very attractive to the idea too. They'd be like, well, yeah, you can go to see Gustavo, but now it's with Pedro, or now it's with Jose, or now it's with the Travel group. And it just brings this idea of community that I think is very attractive to people.
Yes. Yo, you please.
Collaboration amongst the community is really important. We need to introduce the people who follow me to Gustavo, so they might not even have amazing Mexican food. So when they have the opportunity to come to one of our pop-ups, now we're introducing them to something unique and a unique chef and a unique perspective in Mexican food. With pop-ups, for me, is it wasn't pop-ups wasn't really for me to make any money. It was more to like get my name out there.
Yeah.
Especially just moved to Minnesota. Nobody knows me from a hole in the wall. What's the best way to put your name out there? Hustle and do a pop-up. Luckily, ended up meeting Jackson Schwartz, who owns the Glass House. Really good friends. And I would say this, without my friends, I would not be able to open. People like Gustavo, like Jackson. And so Jackson allowed me to do a residency at the Glass House, to do a pop-up for a whole month. And that really introduced me to the whole city for the very first time. And it allowed me to know that there is a need for food like mine in the city. Because you don't know, when you're going with your gut and doing the food that you love, you still don't know if this is the right fit for the neighborhood or how it's going to be received. And we had we sold out, and people had an amazing experience. They were looking forward for us to opening the restaurant. It gave me that boost to like, oh man, we're in the right track.
A momentum.
Yeah.
A momentum, a push, right? It's like, that validation again.
Correct. And momentum is powerful, because that's what carries you to the opening day. And we were able to, push forward. And also it helped me tremendously, because I met so many great people out of that. And people wrote nice things about us. And we were really happy that all the work that we were doing with these pop-ups would reach many people. And it did.
Oh man, I can see, like, I research you guys a little bit. You are hard to find information about, man. Are you some sort of agent of this? Yeah, like I couldn't he went to Commander's Palace and did all the hoo-ha in New Orleans, but I know you were in Italy, right? It was just harder to find information on you, man. I was looking.
Yeah,
very discreet. You did it very discreet.
I was trying to ride under until I could do something.
Hey.
So I see, though, you're out here with Yia, and that's when I met you, right?
Yes.
And those are the types of events that are just so special. I love that Yia kind of, hastened the moment and grabbed onto you and said, you need to be a part of this. And St. Paul needed to eat your food. And, tell me about, where were you in Italy? I'm wondering.
I was in Florence.
Uh-huh.
So I was staying in a town called San Gimignano, just between Siena and Florence. And then I'll take the train every day to Florence to go to work.
Conoces Prato?
Yeah.
That is where my family is from.
Oh,
in
nice.
Italy. They live there still.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Like,
I mean, it was a time I was there for almost 6 months. I have to come back. So if I wouldn't come back, I would have lost my residency here. My lawyer called me. He's like, "You have to come back this week." But it was, it was a point of my life where, like, for the time I was there, that I thought I was gonna stay there. It was such a it teach me so much about food. Not the cooking sense, which I learned a lot, but just how people look at food in Europe in general. People will sit down for a meal, and they will sit down for 3 hours, which it was something completely different from here, where, like, it's like here is like turning and burning and trying to get as many people as you can. And then it's like, we start working, and then we do service, and then we go take a nap, and then you come back, and then I drink so much coffee. I don't think I drink that much coffee in my life, which I drink a lot, but being there, it was coffee for everything.
Was it tasting menu style place, or was it just kind of formal Italian courses?
It was courses, but we didn't have a menu. So there are long tables.
That'd be great.
It's a carafe of Chianti on the table, and then people will sit down, and all we hear is food for 5 or food for 3, and then we just give them whatever we find. We go every morning to the market and pick up food. We'll have the cacciatore bring animals, and then we clean them there, and then we did everything. We go and to the pigeon farm and get pigeons and chickens and eggs and everything. It was an amazing experience.
I do miss markets, mercados. Like, they're so abundant where we're from.
Yeah.
And it's like, here it's temporary, but like I even like go to Canada and the markets are there, like they're supposed to be, like how they're intended to be. Here it's like very temporary.
Well, part of that is how the cities are built.
Yeah.
Where you'd have a plaza or a center place where you would fucking walk, not drive your Escalade or your like fucking like to the market. The culture is around walking a lot.
Yep.
And then, we miss that.
Not as many.
That's why North Loop is actually, I think, part of the city that's doing well.
Yeah.
Is because the inhabitants stay and they can walk or Uber,
Yeah.
But captive audiences. Yeah. Where the hell were we? What were we talking about? You were talking about, what was the last thing you said?
I went to the pop-up at the glass house. And
yes. So these pop-ups, you guys have done it the right way. I did a pop-up in my other restaurant and it was cool, but it was a long time ago, 7 years ago. Now that we've come through, kind of what we call the majority of the pandemic, now we're into some triple endemic or whatever. Anyway, tripendemic. But now we're here. We're like right by these holidays. We talked about family. We talked about a little bit about culture and what we do. And now, how do we stay connected to our culture? How do we continue to push it out? You guys have new things, new restaurants, that momentum. I want you to think about how you captivate that ongoing. Keep that energy moving, because I know for me, that's really the majority of my work. The systems inside are good. The people are really, really good. I have the best people. But that relevancy after year after year after year, these are the things I want you to consider, because that's the hardest. Also, I want you to, with that, impose your culture on people, impose who you are in these people. I just think it's so important.
Like, I don't, like, if you look at my menu, people with the managers or whoever, that's like, you should write it in English so they can understand it. It's like, no, this is what it is. You can Google it, and then there's a description underneath the word.
The server can help you.
Yeah, be respectful of my culture when you come into my house, and what we're having, carne en palitos. I'm not gonna.
The menu has a description.
It's a description.
Yeah.
Oh, but no.
Stick with it. That's what I'm
That's
saying.
it.
Because you know, I don't want you to lose it. Like my mom kind of lost her language. You know, like
No, it's I want people who are from Panama, from any of our countries, to come in, feel comfortable, just as anybody else from here. And you know, I'm very expressive of my cultural background, being from Panama. And you know, where Panama is a very unique country with a melting pot of cultures that came in to build the canal. We had the French, the Americans, the Jamaicans, people from Trinidad, from Mexico. Everybody came in, left something. Africa. They came in and left something when they came to build the canal. And some of them stayed. They're from Haiti, from all over the country, from and the world, came in to build the canal and ended up staying. So that's the great thing about being Panama, that we can go to different countries and experiment with those cuisines because they're already part of our fabric.
around the corner.
Yeah. So that's why we have Latin American cuisine. So we're a little bit more broader. And I think, you know, Gustavo's done a great job, and a lot of the Mexican chefs here done a really great job, like catapulting Mexican cuisine to the next level. And
Yes. Huge.
Correct. And then I feel like there is a place for me to, the other 90% of Latin America that's undiscovered, for me to showcase some of that. So it gives me flexibility for hundreds of years to keep pushing.
Keep it exciting. I think that's absolutely it.
And necessary.
Yeah.
And necessary. And for me, it's that familial aspect with the Italian food. Like, I know you're always going to want that lasagna. I'm going to create that craving. I'm going to make it taste like my ma's did, you know. And that's my thing. Like, I just need you to be addicted to my food. I just need you to have it so that you will crave it.
Yeah.
This is a lot of fun. There's a couple things I want to ask you about. What is escamoles?
Escamoles.
Do you eat escamoles?
A lot. I love them.
So ant roe.
Yep.
And then it's cooked. Is it placed like? Do you cook the ant roe?
Yeah. You cook it on butter.
Beans butter. Like, I saw like a dumb picture of it. Tell me how you eat it.
Well, now it became a delicacy. So now you see like presentations where they put it in some sophisticated ways, but where I grow up, so they stayed on the water. They lay them on the water, and then you go in the morning and you kind of skim the water, and then that's how you pick them up, right? And then they look like caviar, like white caviar. And then what we do, like my favorite way to eat it is just butter and epazote, like that's, and then they're so delicious. They have a very distinct flavor. I don't think it's anything they can.
Why epazote?
I think it needs a little bit like an herbaceous tone, kind of the cut a little bit of that flavor because it's intense.
Little sharpness.
Yeah. So your palate will get tired if you just like taking spoonfuls of this. Like,
especially
it's very
with
rich.
Butter. Yeah.
But it's one of those dishes that it's nothing like it. It's really like I can't think of anything like it. Insects for us they're such a big part of our culture. And I think that one of the reasons that I try to bring a lot of the type of food into here is I think that people can understand why we used to eat the things that we eat. People can understand us better. I think that if you think about, like I always say that I'm very grateful how lucky I am that I do this because I want to, not because I have to. But it was a time of our ancestors, they they did that because it was necessity, because nobody went into the fields and they were like, oh, let's eat crickets, or let's eat like larvae, or let's eat, whatever insects you can find. It was necessity because they probably didn't have enough food to eat. And then they realized that, if you treat them in a certain way, you were able to eat it, and they will give you energy, and they will give you the things that you need. And I think that's part of and the reason why we are the way that we are.
Well, you're also more landlocked, right? So
yeah, we don't.
So
I don't know how to swim.
What?
I don't know how to swim.
Well, teach him how to swim.
I know, man.
It's crazy.
Will you? All right. Well, we'll figure that out too. We're burning some shit.
We gotta burn some shit.
And then we'll go swimming.
Throw Gustavo in the river. And let's teach him how to
not
swim.
the river.
We
No
gotta
currents.
river.
No currents. Oh man. A couple other things. So Eskimos, right? So that I would totally love to eat those one time. But the food from Hidalgo is rabbit.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of rabbit. So you can tell the difference in the kind of cuisine just because you're more of a landlocked region, right? In the peninsula of Italy, there's only one landlocked region, and they have trout, and they have different things. So I was just, as I was reading about Hidalgo,
we do have trout though. We have
because you have rivers.
We have the little lakes. Yeah.
But did you do a lot of hunting? I heard that you were farming when you were a kid, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you get on your horses. Did you have a gun with you when you're out?
Yeah. We have to.
Because of animal protection or because of other
Well,
protection?
a little bit of everything.
I'm laughing at it, but that shit's serious.
It's people trying to steal cows and things like that. So
yeah, food.
you gotta protect yourself. You're like in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like literally by yourself, like trying to bring these animals back into the house, and you find some weird
And that's
people
how
out
you
there.
build what you eat, man. That's how you build what you eat, like all the way back from when you were a kid,
Oh yeah, and the one of the things that I always talk about is I grew up in a family where the guys or the kids, if you were a man, you go into the field, you go into do like manual work, or you stay with the dad on the side, and then you were women, you were in the kitchen, and then I never cook growing up. Like all the food that I cook is about memories, it's about flavors, it's about smells, it's about how nostalgic it gets me when I taste something. And now, with the years, like I've been teaching myself about my own culture because I didn't know anything. I never cooked until I came to the States. But it's also what it makes it so special for me, because when, just like you were talking about earlier about the sauce, is like when we roasting chiles, when we frying beans, when we do certain things, and you walk into the kitchen, like it's home.
Yeah.
And that's what I want. So when you walk into Nixta, I want you to smell like corn. I want you to smell lard. I want you to smell all those things that it reminds me home.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, end up being immigrants too. It's like we find ourselves try to recreate that memory in our own restaurants, especially when you have the opportunity to have a restaurant or a place to showcase culture. And it's like Gustavo said, like the best way that people learn about you is through food. That's how you learn through more cultures, learn more about people. And I think for me, like that's how I want the restaurant to be. Like when you walk in, you smell certain smells. Reminds me of where I came from. Reminds me of carnival season. Reminds me of the different parties that we have. And that's what I try to do sometimes, because like we're so far away from home, and I miss it every day. Like I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that I don't miss home. It's my family. It's a sacrifice
nice
to come
there.
here.
It's like warm.
Yeah, it's all of us make that sacrifice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's a sacrifice.
But like I said, like try to recreate that here in Minneapolis. Mm-hmm. It's we have to go through a lot of steps because we got to get it right. And it's like you said, it doesn't smell right. It's probably you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
So it's like we have to recreate the smell, the senses. Coming and having the whole experience is when you walk in and you smell what's cooking. That sets the tone also.
Absolutely. When I pull up to Mucci's and they have garlic confit in the oven, right? I don't really like the smell of garlic confit. It's like a weird meaty, it's like weird. But outside,
Yeah.
you're like, oh, it smells like, what the hell is going on in there? And I guess this relates back to the conversation we had about how you're trying to build food that's evocative of, say, childhood memories or familial memories or whatever. And I was mentioning that we were, for me, it was Sunday sauce, come home from church or whatever. I went to church as a kid. I don't anymore. God won't let me back in. But when you come home from church, you walk in, kind of kick in the door and you're a kid, but you still, that waft of like tomato sauce, it's slowly gurgling on the, you walk up and steal a meatball out of there, and that's when, when you come to Mucci's and, like not everybody can display how I want it to be evocative, but I sure can. So it's important, you walk in and you smell the sauce and it's right. It literally brought a tear to my eye. We weren't open yet. I'm like, dude, that's it. I walked in and smelled the sauce. I'm like, that's it. You nailed it. And I didn't need to taste. You just kind of have a sense.
Yeah.
Like even with us, I think we don't realize it, but our moms are a huge part of who we are.
Oh, yes.
I mean, like, I don't know if it's the same thing in American culture, but for me, cooking in Latin America, our moms are everything. I remember my mom used to put together a meal in seconds. It's like the best thing I ever had. Like with hardly anything. And I'd just be so amazed at my mom and my grandma. And then they pass down like generational, knowledge from how we do recipes in our home. Like every Panamanian makes tamales 100 different ways. They have their own ways to do it. And it's like, so for holidays, it's holiday season, we're going to make tamales. And our tamales are different than Gustavo. But even between Panamanians, we all have our different seasonings. And it has to be, I don't let them make the tamales. I make the tamales myself because
it's like the combo. It has to be perfect.
Tamales and gumbo.
Because I eat my own food. I eat my own food and I like my tamales. And it's like, bring me back to Panama. And even when I make the tamales at the restaurant, I'm in the phone with my mom.
Yep.
Let me tell you, I'm FaceTiming with my mom while I'm making the tamale. And she's telling me, at this, at that.
It's really hard though, because obviously, they didn't have a lot of the things that we have, right? Like making a mole, she's like, are you grinding the mole? I'm like, no, I'm using a Vitamix. It's just things that were like, well, it's not gonna be the same. I was like, I don't have time to
do all that.
All the same way. And my mom is very, very good about telling me that I'm doing something wrong. She's like, when I talk to her and I tell her I do something, that you did this, that you put this, it's not gonna be good if you don't do this. I'm like, yes, mom, I did.
She calls me out, like, especially like if we don't. So traditionally we grab the dry hominy, yellow hominy, and then we boil it for like 2 hours. But you got to sit there, and she says if I don't use the hand grinder for like 3 hours, it's not gonna come out as good as hers. But sometimes I do go to the trouble to do it. Just I don't know if I just want to work out because I don't work out that much. But I just remember doing this. When I was a kid, just turn it, don't stop, and I just did that for hours while they were making tamales.
I love this, and yeah, moms obviously are important, but in terms of the way that, the matriarchal or patriarchal systems are set up where you're from, like there's different connections that you have. My dad didn't cook. He was more of the hospitalitarian. He was the public, he was the superintendent of a high school, right? So he was the guy out there, blah, 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 everybody had to like him. And then my mom's at home just fucking cooking and taking care of stuff, right? So dad would invite people over and mom is like hustling and doing it. So I really have a lot of both things that I try to, do with what my family gave me. But I'm more like my mom. And we had conflict growing up because she was tough. She's a surgical nurse and then an infection control nurse. Can you imagine? Recovering Catholic, the type of The type of person that would get a 98 and no, my grandfather would be like, why didn't you get 100? Did you look at it? Why didn't you get 100? You know, always asking for more and kind of pressing that, be better, and not in a wrong way. You know, mom also is like, come here, ma. You know, and now I see her with her salt and pepper hair, and she sits there, you know, like a grandma would. Oh, she looks like one of your mas. You know, like just like you would think an old grandma would look, an Italian grandma. No. Guys, yes. And I think femininity in food and femininity in design and femininity in what we do and utilizing what moms give us, absolutely important. I mean, half the people we feed are women.
Yep. You know, like in New Orleans, you know, like coming back to moms, it's a lot of the restaurants we mainly rely on tourism, but the restaurant has to really bring it because every mom knows how to make good food in New Orleans. And the chefs used to tell me that all the time. You have to make something very special that you'll have a mom put the spatula down and come eat it with us. Because they don't have a reason to come out and eat because it's all tourists half of the time. So I always thought of that, like in New Orleans, it always stuck with me. It's like, man, you think about it, their gumbo. Like I never had a bad gumbo in anybody's house. Everybody,
just a little different, right?
Yeah, it's a little bit different.
Yeah, it's still good.
Yeah, it's like super good.
And it always stuck with me, man. Like we better bring it. Like I always think about what would I do to make that mom put that spoon down and come eat with us. And that's how I kind of cooked in New Orleans. Just to, if somebody's mom was here having dinner with us and not cooking at home, that means that we're doing something special. And that's how I cooked in New Orleans, because you cannot measure it with tourism, because tourists come in, they eat, they leave. But if somebody who's local, they have all the tools at their expense and they can just cook at home a great meal. That if you can change their mind and have them come spend their money with us, that means that we're doing something special. So I always think about cooking in that way. Like, what would make their moms like stop cooking for a day and come have dinner with us? I think that's special.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
it just brings it home. And again, you know, that feeling that is familial, that ties us together. That is our upbringing. You know, these are things that, you know, in modern society, you know, and especially one like the United States that doesn't necessarily have the history, you know, it's a little easier to divide that familial feeling.
Yeah.
You know, and then I don't know how it feels where you're from, but the politics in this country are really dividing too. And Americans can't seem to get beyond the fact that they can love somebody and have conflict with them at the same time. And I don't know how it is where you are, you know, how your families are. Everybody's got a different scenario, but I'm really worried about the familial unit, you know. Yeah. And culturally, you know, families are getting smaller. So, you know, we just have to be careful of what we don't lose.
Yeah.
So that's why I urge you to press on who you are and keep going. All right. Let me check my notes. Oh, you guys are doing something, another pop-up. Oh, I wanted to mention. I'm excited. Jose, Soleo.
Soleil, yep.
You, who else?
Chef
Nettie Colon.
Nettie Colon. Noe Lara.
Noe. Doing this, is it Coban?
Coben.
I always try to complicate it. Coban. Sí, señor, es Coban. So this is part of the Great Northern. Mm-hmm. And it's a pop-up that you're all doing, multi-course event.
And this is gonna be more kind of reception style. So it's gonna be like stations.
Yes.
We were gonna have our own station. We were gonna make a dish. We wanted to do it that way so we can invite more people. All the other events that we done, there'll be multi-course, but we're limited because of the space.
Yeah.
We were lucky enough they collaborate with Great Northern and they offer us this big space, and we're trying to utilize as much as we can and trying to build into what we do. So Coben started as a group of friends just hanging out and wanted to throw a party together. We have 3 chefs and 3 mixologists in the group, and then every event that we done, we invite chefs from other places and trying to in a way use the platform that we have to help them grow, and then
Mezclarlo.
and for people to see it's a lot of us.
Yeah.
You know, I think that something
Yes. This is why I mention all of you, because I really think
and
you guys have a powerful voice here.
yeah, and I think
Especially
people
together.
don't know a lot about a lot of us, and I think that again we can do a lot more together.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, and Jose is oh God, I'm forgetting it. Restaurant that closed.
Pobble.
Okay. So a guy whose opinion I hold near and dear to my heart. He's basically my sole investor, and he's done so many great things for me. Anyway, he's also one of the hardest people to please, and that's why I love hanging with him, because he's really critical.
yeah.
And, truthful, critical. And he said he's never seen a restaurant like Popol Vuh in this town. That was so, the smells, the sensations, the design.
It was a place that would transport you from the moment you walk into that place. Like you were involved into a different atmosphere. Like I have the opportunity to work with Jose there to help him for a little bit, and then we always talk about between the other chefs, we were like, we cannot let that place go away, because that was our door. For a long time, like it was not a Mexican chef. They had a high profile restaurant before Jose, and that was our door. Like that was our way in. It was to me, it was Mexican food in the cities before Jose, in Popol Vuh, and after Popol Vuh.
Yeah. Well, and it's always a price thing for Latin food too. And I'm perhaps it's one of the reasons that I had a hard time taking off. Not everybody understands that not all of this food is just cheap street food, and there's a reason there are levels and sophistication. And Jose was the example of that, and not the first. Douglas Rodriguez was the queen of Latino Caribbean food, and he was a guy that I met a couple different times in New York City when I was there back in the late 90s. He has a couple places down in Miami still, I believe. And he just kept pushing. He did like a literal chocolate cigar and all these funky things. And back in New York, you can do that, right? Because you have that concentration of other than white people to come and say, oh, and then a place like that, he definitely helps, but it takes forever to establish this. And you provided a lot of value for what you sold us at a very fair price. A lot of value. Like I said, I got a couple meals out of that. And, that's what I wanted. And you were very generous, but I just, in both ways that we put our food on the table, and every way that we put our food on the table, we just have to make sure that it's a part of us and connected to what we're doing. So Coben. is you all using your voice together?
Yes.
Yeah. There's so many, it's shocking to me, even for me, to know how many Latin American people work in all the restaurants. It's like you go to a restaurant anywhere in the North Loop, majority of the cooks are all Latinos. And, we never, I don't think cooks definitely don't like Latin American cooks. I think they're like the backbone of the kitchens in most of the places in the North Loop. Even you go from Spoon and Stable, all the way to Free House, anywhere in this North Loop or any restaurant in the Twin Cities. But for us to do this pop-ups, I hope that a young chef that's in the kitchen is coming up, see more Latin American chefs rise. And having events like this give us a voice. So I'm just hoping that somebody will see it and get inspired and to get more cuisine out there from Latin America. So I think it's a great thing what we're doing. And also it's give us a platform to showcase our culture, our cuisine, and to allow people to try many different places in the world in one spot. So it's going to be fun.
Central voice, and we all bring so many different angles to the table, and regions where you're from. Nettie, talk about energy.
Yeah, I love Nettie.
Right? She's got a fire.
Ooh.
Man, and she's not afraid to shake it out.
No, and that's,
Like,
and that's what we
all out.
need, you know.
Yes.
And I think that's the energy that we all need from each other. You know, when we were talking about who we're bringing on board for this, you know, it was like, okay, well, we need, and then our group started as a man because we were just like hanging out, but we're like, we need some ladies in here. Yes. And then she was the first one that was like, all right, yeah, Chef Nettie, because she, besides that her food is amazing, she works really hard, just like anybody that I know in the industry, and then her energy just kind of makes you want to do more. You know, the few times that I had the opportunity to be around her, is the way that she talks, the way that she hugs you, is like you feel that energy.
Yes. She's so true to who she is. She doesn't let it up. I mean, her main deal is digging a hole and cooking food in it, dude. Like, how rad is that?
Yep.
You know? And she'll put on that whole party for you. Like, that shit's awesome. That's some brave shit, too, because you don't even know what's going on in the ground. You have a good idea, but you got to unbury that all and pull that up and like be like, okay,
it's ready. Maybe not.
So Nettie's like family, man. Every time I'm around her, it's like, primo, ¿qué pasó? Hey! I love that. It makes me feel at home.
The dance, la baile with her.
Oh, it's gonna be a party.
Can she come to the burning thing?
We can buy.
Oh yeah, she would. Yeah,
She would come.
She would.
Like, she volunteered the pit where we're gonna bring us.
Yeah, that's it. That's
we
it.
are gonna burn.
That's it.
A lot of things that night. I don't know what else you burned, but I think. Anyway, so Nettie's fantastic. Yeah. Jose's influence here is fantastic. Nah. It's nice to have a woman like Jamie over helping, you know, keep going with Jose after this didn't work, and Jose to keep going, doing the food he's doing, which is different from that high end. And, you know, like nobody's done here. I can't wait to see the other chapters that come out of this. Because, you know, it's not one and done unless it's not fun, you know?
Yeah. No, and I think they're going to continue to do more stuff. I mean, Jamie is like one of those persons that just doesn't stop to, you know, and you know, they just opened the new spot in East Street, and it is beautiful. Yeah. You know, you walk in there and you're like, okay, this is really nice.
This is a professional
thing.
Yeah,
you know, and I think one of the things that are important too is that, you know, within the food not being an upscale like Popple used to be, I think they still put in this effort into not diminish the brand into like something cheap. Like they still keep it into something that people will go there and feel comfortable, and it feels nice to be there.
And options.
Yeah,
people love options. No rules. And options.
Yeah, you can go have
choice
tacos,
can be the devil though. Choice can
and
totally
chicken sandwich and just whatever you want.
Yeah, their salads are good too. All right, so we've been able to, you know, talk primarily about, you know, our identity and where it comes from, how we implement it in our work and in our lives, and what's important to us. That's all emotion. We cook and work with emotion. 100%.
Yeah.
You really can't eliminate that from the game. I've seen cooks cook without emotion, and I've also tasted that food. And sure, it could be technically correct, but does it have the soul? So these emotions that you're cooking with, the soul of your food is still so palpable. The other thing, guys, with you as a group, I noticed really my notes today were traditions, and we talked a little bit about that, you know, family food, and I've eaten some of your family foods and what it's important to you. The depth of culture, you know, and how we kind of put that forth in the city and kind of rally around that culture and get people feeling the fun and the joy again. I honestly think you two are a big conduit, and your group are a big conduit to that part of us that we don't get to celebrate, or we don't by practice celebrate culturally, kind of. And like I say, like, I'm not making fun of you when when you say, hey man, we're gonna go out, you know, and you get that little, right? You do that a lot. You get that little dance thing going, doesn't he?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not, he doesn't even have to think about it. He gets that little thing
natural.
going.
He doesn't even know he does. He's just there.
Guys,
Yeah,
I'm a very expressive person.
Yes.
And I tell people, like, you don't have to like me, you have to drink with me.
Yeah.
Well, we
And,
drink a little mezcal with you.
Gazpacho.
Gazpacho.
Always gazpacho.
We call it gazpacho.
Gazpacho, senor.
You know, even when I do the events, it's like anytime I do anything outside of the restaurant, it's like a day off for me. So I tell every chef, I'm here to have fun. Like, I don't do anything to not be having fun, like outside of my restaurant.
I got some gazpacho right here.
And I always come prepared. They know me. All the
I
chefs,
cook with it.
you know, all the chefs come by, believe it or not, like after the event, all the chefs come by with a little cup. And then, you know, I have some gazpacho for them. And we just toast. I like toasting.
Yes, me too.
I just don't know. I think it brings people camaraderie with our peers and I feel like when we toast after a great event, it just makes us feel better, validate amongst each other, just that we did a great job. And I'm really good at like letting everybody know that I appreciate them and the time that they took to do the event. So now I'm kind of known that like every time we're doing an event, they know they'll come in at the end.
Like, should we bring something? No,
So
Pedro's
that's
Pedro's
what I'm
there.
saying. You know how to get people to come to you. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And it is that verve, and it is that liveliness. It's not the alcohol.
No,
It's the idea.
the idea. And toast is important. You saw, even when you came to a restaurant, we toast.
Yes.
And I feel like if you're friend and family, we have to toast.
Yeah, we had back in the Town Talk Diner days, 06, 07, we would fuck with people when they walked in the door. Fuck with them. Literally, you walk in. Had you ever had a chance? No, you didn't. No. Okay. So it was an old alleyway, and they covered the alleyway, and they built the Town Talk Diner in between these two buildings. And it was an old pancake joint, 75 years.
Wow.
Before I took it over with some friends. Anyway, but we used to mess with people to try to immediately break through. So from time to time, again, you have to imagine this little alleyway with a counter, like a diner counter in it, like 12 seats. And people would walk in the door and we'd just be like, and everybody would be like, yeah, we'd start clapping and pointing, and they'd be like, what the fuck? And the whole bar, right? Yeah. And they're like, should I walk away? Like, party at 2. And then we take the clipboard for reservations if there's a wait, and we hand it right to you. Just add your name to the list. Pass that back here now. Right? So as soon as they come in the door, there was no way getting by us. There was no way, there wasn't like a quiet host or whatever, There's no way you were getting by us without sensing something. Yeah. We gave too many things away. But the idea behind that at that time was people need to know that this is different. Here's a boozy malt milkshake and a mini cup. It was like, this thing opened up the culinary world, and it did. The Town Talk Diner really vibrantly pushed the city into a new era, right? And I don't take responsibility for it. That's what happened in there. Anyway, those are the types of things when you break it down and just kind of start celebrating and surprise people. Man, you can just knock them into liking you. You kind of have to shock them out of their kind of passiveness here.
Yeah.
And that's important. And I think, have your attitude in front of you guys.
Yeah, I a lot of people are very quiet when they come into the restaurant. And I like touching tables because I like to, people have questions. I want to answer them. But a lot of people come very quiet, but then once they leave, they're really loud.
They get you, yeah.
They understand, they get it, and and it's really funny when they come in all quiet and all that, and they have a few minutes talking with me, and sometimes I just go grab a couple of things and toast with them right there.
Yes.
And then we just keep talking.
Now we do it.
The gazpacho always help.
Dude.
In the front and the back.
And the funny thing, when they say goodbye, they say it's like you were in your house or you were leaving somebody's house. They're like, we'll be back. And then they just the way that they say it, it's like you broke down that barrier.
Yes.
And it's really, I think,
they saw you.
Yeah.
They lit for you who you are.
And I think that's one of the best things that we can do. It's when they come in to have dinner with us and break down that barrier. And people don't feel awkward. They leave as family.
I recognize your voice.
Somehow. Siri, how long is this?
So yeah, I think it's a great thing that we're doing and try to make people feel comfortable.
Yes. Have them be at home.
Yeah.
So guys, I didn't get anywhere near touching my notes here, but I definitely got to the heart of what I think is important for us to talk about, and that is the heart. And I'm hoping you find Minneapolis to be welcoming. I'm hoping all of that, but also, I'm really just excited to see what you offer, and that Minneapolis brings you many good tidings and years of business and more opportunities. I just appreciate you and your energy in town, and we need your life. We need your life here. We need your energy, and
we
what
feel,
you bring is a lot.
We feel the same way. I feel like what you guys have done in the city, it facilitates a lot of what we do. I think that having people with restaurants like the ones you have, it has opened. We couldn't do that without you guys done what you've done before. I think that it's a connection. It's part of it.
Yep.
I think all the old school restaurants they have open in the cities, they did something for the community and they opened their eyes into new foods, and then it's always a connection. And then we always look into you guys to see how you guys did it, and then trying to follow a little bit of the steps in our own ways, but trying to be as successful as you guys are.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's a really nice way to put it. Because I look at you the same way. It doesn't matter how many years I'm here. I see you guys starting out, and I know what you're doing right now. And you're the ones that are really taking the biggest chances. Yeah. So yeah, I'm here. Maybe we paved the way. But what you're doing now at this time in this business climate, when we're really trying to coalesce and come back together again and find what's going to work long term, it's important. This culture is important. I appreciate you so much. This has given me an opportunity to speak Spanish, one of the great loves of my life. I love speaking Spanish, and I'm okay. I'll get better and more comfortable with it with y'all, and thanks for letting me do that a little bit, because it means a lot to me. And thanks for the food. Like, excellent stuff, guys. I had to make sure that before we sat down, this was exactly what I thought it was going to be, because I can sense who you are even before I eat your food. It's really cool. So go with your identities, fam. Stick with it. I'm appreciative of your time on Niver Niver Land, capítulo 5, episodio 3.
Epa.
Con los guapos, Pedro y Gustavo.
Muchas gracias.
Muchísimas gracias. Encantado.
Gracias.
Y hasta la próxima vez, señores.
Pronto.
Sí, tenemos que quemar
con la quemadera.
Hay que llamar a Neti. Hay que llamar a Chef Neti. Tiene que abrir el hueco y hay que quemar.
Ya estamos.
Wow.
Señores, muchas gracias.
Gracias.
Sinceramente. Thank you.
All right.